Have you ever had someone say to you, "I consider you a friend," and wondered what it really means? Join me as I explore the hidden depth of this phrase and rethink what friendship truly is. The surface meaning. When you hear, "I consider you a friend," what does it mean? It sounds like a simple expression, but it's more complicated than that. Understanding this phrase is important in today's world, where friendships can be fleeting and fluid. It's ambiguous at best and misleading at worst. It can mean anything from a casual acquaintance to a long-term friend. It's easy to assume that just because someone says it, that it means a deep emotional connection or a higher level of friendship. Sometimes, the phrase is used to soften our rejection or to soothe our egos. And other times, it's a genuine sign of affection that doesn't translate into actions. Why is this phrase so hard to decode? We often project what we want onto the phrase, which complicates our understandings. Mixed signals occur because we interpret the phrase through our expectations, not necessarily through what the speaker intended. Have you ever thought about what the phrase means to you personally? The real question is, what is it about this phrase that makes it so hard to decode? Why do we get mixed signals, and what does it truly mean when someone says, "I consider you a friend"? Unpacking the context. One way to unpack the meaning of this phrase is by looking at the different contexts that it's used. For instance, in a casual friendship, it means appreciation or friendliness. But in deeper connections, it means emotional support and trust. Maybe we put too much weight behind this statement. Are we interpreting it through our expectations or the other person's perspective? How we decode this phrase influences how we approach the relationship. Understanding the context helps us manage our expectations, which allows us to navigate social interactions with more clarity and less confusion. What assumptions do we make when someone calls us a friend? The way we decode this phrase can drastically impact our approach to the friendship. Is it possible that it's not that deep? These questions highlight the importance of context in our relationships. How do you usually interpret "I consider you a friend" in different social situations? Intentions and motivations. Another key factor is to consider the speaker's intentions and motivations. Are they genuinely interested in friendship or just looking for a social benefit? Are they using the phrase to gain clout or to boost their own social standings? The context, motivation, and intentions play a role in interpreting this phrase. It's like having that intuition for spotting fake friends. As the Stoics teach us, understanding the true intentions behind actions helps us navigate relationships more wisely. How do we think about the true intentions behind someone's words? Are we being used as a social convenience or being valued as a true friend? Remember, sometimes action speaks louder than words, and it's important to notice both. Getting an understanding of intentions can protect us from shallow connections. Stay cautious, but don't overthink it. Genuine connections will always reveal themselves eventually. When we accept Stoic principles, we learn to manage our expectations and focus on the authenticity of the friendship. Are we truly valued for who we are rather than for what we can offer? It helps us to focus on relationships that are mutually beneficial and real. Do you ever question the motivation behind someone saying to you, "I consider you a friend"? Story time. Let me tell you a story. A coworker once said to me, "I consider you a friend," during a business meeting. When I heard it, I couldn't believe my ears. I thought to myself, You know me, you know my family, and we have known each other for almost 2 decades. I was puzzled and I wondered where was the disconnect. As I thought about it, I came to the conclusion that our connections were simply for information gathering and microaggression. There were no deeper connections of support in or outside the workplace. This experience made me think about the phrase's meaning. Was it a genuine display of affection or just a social nicety? The Stoic principle of focusing on what we can control helped me. I couldn't control their action, but I could control how I reacted. I saw it for what it was, and I made a mental note, and I adjusted to how I dealt with this individual. From this experience, I learned to be more guarded and to put more stock into decoding the words people used. It emphasized the importance of making sure that words aligned with actions. Understanding context and motivation in these situations can prevent misunderstandings. Have you ever been in a similar situation? How did you handle it? Put it in the comments below. Lack of follow-through. One thing that struck me the most in my own experiences is the lack of follow-through when someone said this phrase. Someone might say, "I consider you a friend," then forget about you until they need you again. They might use this phrase to gauge responses before deciding whether to deepen the friendship. It's like a social experiment, but in real time. All of this made me more cautious when interpreting the phrase, and I became more aware of how I used it myself. The Stoic concept of living in accordance with nature reminds us to seek genuine connections. How often do we encounter people who say one thing, but act differently? This discrepancy between words and actions can be disheartening and confusing. It's important to observe whether actions align with statements. This awareness can help us navigate the social maze. Reflecting on this can help us maintain emotional balance and prevent unnecessary expectations. Consistency between words and actions is typical of genuine friendships. These genuine connections are rare, but they're valuable. It's a fundamental factor in building and maintaining trust. Are we truly valuing the friendship or just the idea of it? The wisdom of the Stoics teaches us to manage our expectations and focus on the things that we can control. How can we cultivate authentic relationships with such vagueness? Nuances and complexity. The real meaning of this phrase, "I consider you a friend," lies in its nuance and complexity. It's about the intentions, motivations, emotions, and actions that come with it. When someone says, "I consider you a friend," we shouldn't take it at face value. Think of it as peeling back the layers of an onion. Instead, question what they really meant, what they're hoping to get, and what they're willing to put in. It's like playing a social detective game. As Marcus Aurelius said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." Are we coloring our friendships with unrealistic expectations? It's important to recognize the layers of communication that go beyond simple words. When we analyze the underlying intentions, we can avoid potential disappointments. When we do this, we can expose the true meaning and build stronger friendships. Building genuine bonds requires us to be mindful of both the words and the deeds. Real friendship succeeds on understanding these complexities. They require effort and mutual respect to flourish. The reward is a connection that is real and lasting. What have we learned? So, there you have it. The hidden layers of friendship exposed. Understanding what someone means when they say, "I consider you a friend," is important for building more meaningful bonds. We have explored the surface meaning, the context, intentions, and the lack of follow-through. We've also delved into the nuances and the complexities of this phrase. By questioning the true meanings, the motivations behind these words, we can foster more authentic friendships. Remember, meaningful bonds are built on transparency, trust, and mutual respect. The insights we've gained today helps us to navigate friendships with greater clarity and purpose. As we continue to apply these lessons, we can develop stronger, more meaningful friendships. It's essential to remain mindful of our own expectations and to communicate openly with our friends. Thank you for joining me on this journey to uncover the truth. If you ever wondered what someone meant when they said, "I consider you a friend," share your experiences in the comments below. And if you're new here, check out one of our other videos, "Can kindness make you a target for disrespect?" Or, "What if you remain quiet after disrespect?" Remember, question everything. Keep your head up. Free thinker out.